opportunity to speak to the board regarding matters of concern or interest to this district. Other than the character of a student, staff, or board member, concerns or complaints regarding specific individuals shall not be raised in public forum. They should be considered separately according to the relevant board policies. The board requests that comments on any subject, whether positive or negative, be courteous and respectful. With that, we move into open forum. Item number 4 on the agenda. Mr. Martin Lowen has asked to speak. You will be given 5 minutes to speak. At the end of 5 minutes, we ask that you cease. Martin?
Yes. Right here?
Yes, sir, be fine.
Okay. I think everybody's here because of the tax increase. And I know I work on tractors because I'm not a public speaker, so I don't have any fancy words or anything like that. But a couple of concerns that I had, I read in the newspaper that the school board, they voted on the increase for the taxes, 30%. Is that correct?
We raised taxes from $1 to $1.30.
That's about 30%, right? That was the school board?
Yes, sir.
They have that authority?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'd like clarification on that yet. And then, another thing, when was this done? September 21st?
Well, it starts in about March, I believe.
Yeah, well, I read the newspaper and I read that September
That's
21st
when
is
it was
when that was
adopted.
voted in.
That's when it was adopted, yes, sir.
Okay. I think that's a little late notice, because I know, I mean, I work on a weekly salary, I know how much I make, and at the beginning of this year, I got a tax bill for $3,300, and so, okay, I was okay with that. I could have protested, I didn't, so I thought I would be fine with that. And so, of course, we started setting aside money so that we knew we'd be able to pay that by the end of the year. And then, what do you know, October, I get a bill, my tax had gone up $1,100. And I can't come up with $1,100 just like that. I know it's probably no big deal to y'all, but I can't do that, not on such short notice. So I'm just kind of curious what we can do about that, or what we're going to do about that.
We have a handout that's available tonight, that will be passed out to you. You're welcome to call and visit with us, with some of the administration here at any time.
About what?
Whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I know y'all have made a lot of people angry. A lot of people are angry about this. Are y'all planning on doing anything about it, or are we just going to go forward like that?
We can't discuss anything tonight because this is not on the agenda. This is an open forum. You can ask a question. We can talk about it at a later meeting. But we can't tonight because it's not on the agenda. It must be posted according to the law. And your questions haven't been.
My questions haven't been in accordance with the law?
No,
What law?
on tonight's meeting.
Okay. What is tonight's meeting on, or what do I have authority to talk about or ask questions about?
You can ask questions about anything. We just can't act on it.
Okay. Are y'all planning on doing something about our questions, or are we just, everything we say fall on deaf ears?
No, sir, it's not falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, just to address some of the questions, last month, there was a group that came forward and they posed 12 questions. And we have the answers to those 12 questions here tonight with a couple of drafts. And what we would propose is that a committee meet with our finance committee, and we can work in depth and set up a meeting and answer as many questions as you can present to us, and we'd be happy to try to do that.
Okay. There was some more things I was going to ask you. I was looking at that agenda. Another thing that when I was asking some of the ladies at the appraisal district about that, they were saying that the reason our taxes have gone up is because the oil had gone down. Is there any truth to that?
I can't answer what the appraisal district does. I don't know.
But, I mean, you would know if there was, right?
I would know if there was.
Is that a reason? Did y'all increase the taxes because there was less revenue coming in from the oil field?
We didn't increase it.
We raised the taxes because we're running a deficit budget of $5.9 million. There's a reason we raised the taxes. But it is based on the evaluations of the whole county.
Okay. Because what they were telling me didn't make any sense, because I don't know, 2-3 years ago when oil was booming, we didn't see our taxes go down. I would think that would be a little unfair.
I agree with you.
So the oil field is making, the oil field is making less money, we're making less money too. We can't make up for that. We're making less money too. We're not making more money through this. And I know you were talking about, y'all were in, I don't know, $9 million deficit? Or 5.5? Okay, well, you think that's probably because the school board or Seminole Independent School District's getting new vehicles every couple of months?
No, I don't think that's got anything to do with it.
You don't think so? $70,000 Suburbs, they're not gonna put a dent in that?
We haven't bought any $70,000 Suburban.
No. I know, I talked to a gentleman the other day, he said on the weekend in Hobbs Walmart, he had seen a brand new Chevrolet Suburban LTZ. I think everybody here knows what they run.
Your 5 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Next, I've asked to speak to Mr. Jimmy Peters.
How y'all doing?
Fine.
Thanks for letting me speak. First thing on the agenda would be, there is a budget that's supposed to be approved today. Am I correct? On the agenda, down, consider approval of field turf replacement, consider approval of network management contracts to Netra, consider approval of budget amendment, number 1. What is that amendment?
Joe, you want to answer that?
After the passage of the tax rate, we based the tax rate budget was based on 74 cents. With the adoption of the $1.04, the board policy is required to increase the budget to reflect the increase in revenue, as well as our recapture increases, the money that we have to pay back to the state. Also, state revenue goes down, because anytime taxes go up, local revenue goes up, state revenue goes down. That's just the way the state funding system works. And so we have to adjust the budget from time to time, and this is required by board policy to increase the budget to reflect what was decided on by the board.
And then all it has to, that budget increase has to do with the fact that our taxes went up, right?
Well,
That's why you can do that.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And it reflects the fact that we go from a $5.5 million deficit budget down to about $1.5 million deficit budget.
Okay. And I understand all that. The last time I spoke with you guys, I spoke about this budget right here, the 2015-2016 budget. Do you remember that? And then we had talked to y'all about possibly getting a more in-depth revised version of that to see where that money's going. I know the last board meeting that you guys approved an ag vehicle for $40,000. There was no questions asked. There was no nays. It was just a single yes vote. 2 $80,000 buses, I think it was. And Mr. Royson, I'm sorry, but if you think that that doesn't make any type of impact on the things that happen in the school district and the way money is spent, man, to me, 25 cents spent the right way makes a big difference. And so in our school district, that type of money should make a big difference. In my opinion, I believe we talked to Mr. Larimore the last time we discussed on budget cuts. What can you do so that next year, when this time comes back around, what can you do to make that decrease so where our taxes go down next year and don't stay the same? Is something being done to where you can reevaluate your budget next year to make it lower so that we can afford to live in Gaines County? Have you discussed any of that yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, well, you'll have. We've been, this is, the buying the 2 buses every year is an ongoing deal.
Okay.
Yeah, $80,000 is $80,000, it sure is. But our bus routes are so big and so many miles compared to the smaller counties to the north or the south of us. We put 3 times as many miles on our school buses as any other district. If we wait, and we don't buy 2 buses this year, we wait 4 or 5 years and save $80,000 a year, then all of a sudden we've got 10 more out school buses taking our kids back and forth to school.
Well, and that's logical, I see
That's
that, but
unsafe.
couldn't you do it every other year instead of every single year? I mean, that's still $80,000.
Well, we've got so many buses, it's on a rotating deal, and we pick two every year. Yes, sir. And the school, right now, the school buses are still being bought with bond money, which costs us 60 cents on every dollar, versus $80,000 out of my pocket or your pocket. In real dollars, when the bond money's gone and we buy $80,000 school bus, it's gonna cost $96,000 because of recapture. Right now, it's costing 60% of that.
But the bond money, is that something we don't have to pay back?
Yes, sir, we pay it back.
So we're still paying for it?
Yes, sir.
You just said that, well, if we didn't do that, then we would have to pay the $80,000. Irregardless, we're still paying the $80,000 in the long
It
run.
have been, yes.
Yeah, yeah, so, okay, I've proven that point. The last thing that I want to talk about is your drug and alcohol policy. And I won't name any names, I'm not here to point fingers. I myself know what it is like to be forgiven. I know what it's like to seek redemption and found it from people and from Jesus Christ himself. And so what I want to say is if a teacher or a janitor comes along, gets a drinking and driving charge inside of a company vehicle, what's going to happen to them? Are they going to get fired right on the spot?
I was listening to the alarm go off, I didn't hear your question, Mr. Peters. Your 5 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Any answer question?
Next is Miss Vicki Harriman.
I'm Vicki Harriman, a dyslexia therapist, and have proudly worked 33 years for Seminole ISD. I am speaking out of love for the district and concern that I have for its future. I'm a voice for many employees that share this concern, but for obvious reasons do not feel comfortable and fear the risk of speaking to the board. The National School Board Association compares school policy to Congress, state legislatures, and city council. School board policies are very similar to law. Policy makes school governance possible and clarifies to the public exactly what educators are accountable for. A training manual for school board members states, it is the responsibility of the school board to make, enforce, and obey school district policies. Policy making is a serious responsibility because policy ultimately affects every aspect of the school. Boards must always follow policy 100% of the time. Policy and practice are two sides of the same governance coin and can't be separated from each other. No one in the school system is excused from following board policy. Boards can change a policy that's not fulfilling its intent, but must change the policy before tempted to violate or ignore it. In lawsuits against school boards, courts have a record of harshly judging boards that have violated their own policies. The superintendent and staff are responsible for seeing that board policy is followed in the day-to-day life of the district. We have administrators right here in this room that I admire and respect, who have faced public criticism and personal attacks on their character for enforcing policy because it was their job. It was not easy to follow policy and can be unimaginable in a small community where we often know the people in question personally, but it's necessary to run a school fairly. SISD Online Local Policy BJCF states, reasons for the non-renewal of the superintendent's contract shall be, and one needs to understand the legal definition of shall is imperative, mandatory, and denotes obligation. Among the reasons listed for non-renewal are 8, drunkenness or excessive use of alcoholic beverages, or possession, use, or being under the influence of alcohol or alcoholic beverages while on school property, while working in the scope of the employee's duties, or while attending any school or district-sponsored activity. 10, failure to meet the district standards of professional conduct. 15, any activity, school-connected or otherwise, that because of the publicity given it or knowledge of it among students, faculty, or community impairs or diminishes the superintendent's effectiveness in the district. 17, failure to maintain an effective working relationship or maintain good rapport with parents, the community, staff, or the board. 26, any reason constituting good cause for terminating the contract during its term. The philosophy of the Seminole Public Schools states, the Seminole Independent School District prohibits the use or abuse of drugs and/or alcohol. The policy of drinking and driving is near and dear to this community. 11 years ago, we lost 3 beautiful children, Rachel, Maddie, and Yates Lindsay, because of a reckless choice to drink or drive. It was perhaps the worst accident ever in Seminole. Dirk and Tara Lindsay were rushed to Lubbock after the accident, unaware that their children, 10-year-old Rachel, 6-year-old Madeline, and 1-month-old Yates, were all dead. Tara kept asking over and over, how's my kids? Where are my kids? And our condition was so bad they didn't know if we could handle it. We kept asking people and they wouldn't tell us, says Dirk. Tara later stated that Yates was the little brother the girls always dreamed of. That is why one casket was chosen for all 3. We decided we wanted them to be buried together because they were family and they needed to be together. While Dirk and Tara were hospitalized in Lubbock, their children were buried in Seminole. Our son was born 36 days before this happened. Our life was perfect. Our family was complete. And we were really happy, and one instant changed everything. Please don't drink and drive, urges Dirk. A memorial bench and stone at Elementary in F.J. Young pay tribute to Rachel and Maddie. Engraved on the bench at the end of it, it says, I'll never forget you. I'll never forget. I wonder what we would say to the Lindsay family today. Have we forgotten? I urge our board members to follow local policy just as you expect us to do on a daily basis. Currently, the fate of our policy is hinging on your decision. If this policy is ignored, any and all policy is in jeopardy and subject to be challenged in the future. This decision would make day-to-day operations of the school difficult at best. I have policy information and some personal notes I would like to give to the board. I respectfully thank you for the time to speak in open forum.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. I believe that's everyone that asked to speak to us tonight. Next, item 5, reports. Mr. Lerner.